Hey, welcome everyone to week 8 of the NFL. It's the October 25 edition of Father, Son, and Holy Sport NFL show. I'm G-Man. There's Team Money from Cincinnati.
What's going on, G? Excited to be
Hey,
here. Another week down. We're almost to the halfway point, but a lot of movement, a lot of big teams going down, a lot to talk through.
yeah, Thursday night starts off this week. The battle of the last wild card teams. What do I mean by that? AFC, the 7th seed right now is Buffalo. Can you believe it? And they play Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay is now the 7th seed in the NFC. So battle of these guys on the bubble of making the playoffs. Thursday night, it all kicks off.
Yep. That game coming up is a big one. Then you saw Kirk Cousins dominate that Niners defense like no one has all year. What a resurgence from him, and Brock Purdy had another bad game. So interesting. If everyone in the NFL is kind of in the woes in the middle of the season, anyone can lose at any time.
Yeah, I don't think that the Bills are going to have any problem here with Tampa on Thursday night, and they'll get the job done. And let's stay in that AFC. Let's talk about AFC North, and the Browns are in the hunt at 4-2. How about the Browns in the hunt? They're tied in the loss column in that AFC North. Who can believe it? Do you think the Browns regret trading for Deshaun at this point, T-Money?
They have to, because they expected this team to be great, and they are. This team is great. The defense is great. Amari Cooper's there. The run game is still strong. They missed Chubb. That stinks. But Ford and Hunt are doing a pretty good job. The biggest thing is, if they had Deshaun Watson from a few years ago when he was with the Texans leading the league in passing, they would be great. They're a team that, hey, you throw Kirk Cousins on the Browns, they might be a Super Bowl contender. But right now, Deshaun Watson has the 27th best passer rating in the league, just slightly above Jordan Love and right behind Kenny Pickett. So, that's the kind of quarterback play they're getting right now. It's really sad for the Browns fans out there. And unfortunately, after this year, you're locked in for another 3 years with this guy. You cannot get out of this contract financially for another 3 years after this season. So there is no moving on. No one's going to trade for him. He's not elite. It's one of, if not the worst trade in NFL history at this point. That's how big of a mistake this was.
Yeah, that's crazy. And they're still in the hunt. It just shows you it takes a team, T-Money. But, still a cloudy picture here with Deshaun. As you said, a lot of season left. A lot can happen. But he has this supposedly minor shoulder injury in week 7, and he gets into the game and gets hit, and Stefanski pulls him out and doesn't put him back in, even though he was cleared to come back in. He didn't come back in the game. And now for week 8, we're on Wednesday now. In week 8, we still don't know if he's going to be there for week 8.
Yeah. It's crazy. And then the week before that, he was medically cleared, didn't play in the game. I'm sure that rubbed some people wrong in his own locker room. I know it rubbed fans wrong.
So what do you think's going on? What is this cloudy picture? Why is it happening?
I don't know. I think, he's probably in his own head at this point about every decision he ever makes, just because of the baggage he's come with off the field. And he hasn't played in forever, and he's not playing well. So if he's going to go out there, he wants to make sure he's 100%. As I said, this is getting bleaker and bleaker for Browns fans, because the team is clearly good enough to go to the playoffs and make a little bit of a run. And they expected a top 10 quarterback. Hey, he was top 5. It felt like when he was playing back in the day for Bill O'Brien and the Texans. And this guy is nowhere near that, and doesn't look like there's light at the end of the tunnel right now.
Well, the other technical issue in terms of the backup P.J. Walker coming off the practice squad 3 times this season, which means that he's maxed out his elevations. And so what are they going to do with P.J. Walker? If they add him to the 53-man roster, they have to drop someone else off. And I don't know if P.J. is actually better than DTR yet. Who is really the number 2 there? They've got a decision to make.
Yeah, true. It's going to be interesting to see how this all fleshes out, but I have no doubt, talking to just Browns fans, they 100% regret this. And if I'm the GM and I have worst trade in NFL history, not an exaggeration, by the way, under my belt, I better be the best GM in the league to keep my job. Right now, he might be because this team is good, even without Deshaun. But that's a hard pill to swallow if you're an owner GM. But hey, let's move on here. I want to talk about the Giants. All right. The Giants, not too shabby here. They're playing Tyrod Taylor right now at quarterback. Daniel Jones hurt. They get the win over the Commanders. So should Tyrod Taylor be their full-time starter now and not Daniel Jones?
Well, I can see why you're asking that because Daniel Jones has not been good. And you mentioned QBR. He's below Deshaun Watson.
That's true.
He's 28 out of 32 starters, Daniel Jones. So, and then he was injured. He practiced on a limited basis. In week 7, he has the neck injury. He's still considered day-to-day as we're sitting here in week 8, but he should be able to get a full practice, and he's probably going to be available. They play Sunday against the Jets, but he's definitely the starter, and he should be the starter right now. I know that Tyrod Taylor did a great job, but they're not going to take Jones out, and I don't think they should yet. I think they stay with him. He's healthy. If he's healthy to play, they're going to play. He's the franchise quarterback, man.
Yeah. It's interesting because Tyrod Taylor's not a world beater here. You know, he's not throwing like crazy right now. It's very average, you know, a couple 100 yards a game, 1 touchdown. But the biggest thing he reminds me of is Daniel Jones from last year because he's not turning the ball over. That's who Daniel Jones was last year. He might throw a touchdown a game and then not turn the ball over. The problem is Daniel Jones has had a fumble this year, and on top of that has 6 interceptions. And he cannot turn the ball over. He needs to manage this game, hand the ball off to Saquon Barkley, get the ball out quick to guys like Darren Waller, and maybe make a few plays with his legs. The problem for the Giants is the fact that Daniel Jones is back to being the turnover machine that he was a few years ago, and they clearly made a bad decision on the contract here. They're stuck with him for at least all of next year as well. I don't know. I would make sure that Daniel Jones, if he's going to come back, is 100% and that he's mentally ready again because he was getting his ass kicked out there. And like you said, the Giants just need him to be a game manager. If they, you know, they could, I don't know if they're going to be able to sneak into the playoffs this year. But right now, Tyrod seems to be the best option because he's not turning the ball over.
Yeah, no, I agree. The turnovers are a key in the NFL. You got to manage that. They're going to have a tough time whoever starts against the Jets. The Jets favored. They play on the same field. So really you can't look at home visitor, but Jets are favored by 2.5 over the Giants. The key is, as you mentioned, and you alluded to, get the ball to Saquon. Their scoring with and without Saquon in the lineup is so much dramatically different. Saquon's the key to making the offense go.
For sure.
Right now, they're the lowest scoring offense in the NFL, and they have the fewest big plays. And the way to get through that is to load up Saquon. Be creative, too. Yeah. They got to get Saquon in creative positions. They can't just run him straight up in between the tackles every play, which they seem to do a lot. Daboll's got to get creative here. Daboll's got a chink in his armor with how he's managed this team. I just don't think that they're very creative on offense.
Yeah, I agree. And he's kind of had a few outbursts on the sideline, trying to show up his quarterback. I've not liked the way he's acted this year. It's not been very mature, very coachly like. So the Giants definitely got an uphill battle here. I'm not sure they're loving this Daniel Jones $40 million a year contract right now.
Yeah. Got you. Hey, let's give a little shout out to our show sponsor, Blue Tees Golf. Go to blueteesgolf.com. Get your high quality golf products. Pick up your golf game this year. Enter the coupon code FSHS and get a 10% discount on father-son sports. Go to blueteesgolf.com. Let's move back over to the AFC now. T-Money, talk about the Miami Dolphins. They've been hard to figure out this year. Do you think Tua and the Dolphins are overrated?
Yeah, I do slightly. Now, I do think they're in like the second class of the AFC. So is anyone putting them over the Chiefs? I don't think so. Is anyone really going to take them over the Ravens? I don't think so. So maybe they're not overrated. Maybe they were a little bit of, in the beginning of the season when people are talking about them. Just looking at their schedule, they are, I believe, 5-2, and they are in good position in their division, leading it. But the teams they've beaten have combined 8 wins. The 2 best teams they've played, they've gotten absolutely throttled by in Buffalo and Philadelphia. So they're definitely in a different tier than teams like Baltimore and teams like the Kansas City Chiefs. And, if you look in the NFC, the Niners and Philadelphia. But, they're up and down. I would, Buffalo kicked their butt, but I'd say they're roughly around the same, pedigree as Buffalo. And, I think they're properly rated because they have such an explosive offense. And they are leading their division, winning the games that are in front of them. And they have a relatively easy schedule. But I think we did overrate them a little bit in the beginning of the year. I think we need to see a little bit more from them. Kansas City is in 2 weeks, so that'll be a big, big test. And then they finish the year out, Dallas, Baltimore, Buffalo. So that's what it really comes down to. They're going to blow out teams like Washington and New York just because of Tyreek Hill and Mike McDaniel's explosive offense. But the big thing is, how are they going to look in the cold weather and versus elite teams? And right now, they are not looking great versus elite teams. So I think they're properly rated, but I think we definitely all overrated them, maybe even myself a little bit earlier in the year.
Yeah. Well, I agree with everything you said there. I just want to add to it. And, those 2 losses, Buffalo put up 48 points on them, man. They got to improve that defense, giving up 48. I mean, come on. And then the Eagles putting up 31. It's a big number for the Eagles who run the ball a lot. Yes, the Eagles have potential to throw it down the field, but they also can run it and run out the clock and shut you down on defense. So 31 to the Eagles, 48 to the Bills. It's not just the offense. They've got to bring the defense if they want to compete. Yeah. But despite of all of that, T-Money, they are still the number 2 seed in the AFC behind Kansas City.
Yeah.
Now, because they lost to the Eagles, who are in another conference, they win the tiebreak in terms of conference win percentage over Baltimore and Jacksonville. Baltimore and Jacksonville, both 5-2, and so are the Dolphins, but the Dolphins win on the tiebreak. That could come to help them when it comes to playoff time.
Yep. Very interesting. Like you said, we're not as worried about their offense, but their defense is struggling. Even in that Philadelphia game, they technically only scored 10 offensive points. One of the touchdowns was a pick 6. So that potent offense that we all saw definitely did not show up in its biggest game of the year so far. So, yeah, very interesting. The Dolphins, they're probably a scary team to play against because, hey, they hung 70 on a team this year. Like that's a scary offense. But at the same time, like you said, the defense isn't there. That needs to be more of a calling card. And then in the big games, it seems their offense kind of shrinks. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys play it out.
Dolphins back at home this weekend, Sunday at 1. They're favored by 9 against the Patriots. Patriots played them tough in week 2. Can they do it again?
Yeah, we'll see. Hey, let me move over to another AFC title hopeful, and that's Lamar Jackson and those Ravens, man. They crushed the Lions. My question for you, G-Man, can Lamar Jackson lead this Ravens team to a Super Bowl?
Absolutely. Yeah, they're right there. We just talked about them being 5-2 right there in that 2 seed spot. They beat up the Lions. Oh my gosh, this was supposed to be a potential mini Super Bowl meetup of the Ravens and the Lions. They just pounded them. 38-6. I mean, that was impressive. And Lamar was one of the big reasons. 21 of 27, 357 yards, 3 touchdowns, and he ran for a touchdown. I mean, this guy had one of his best days ever of his career, maybe the second best. It's definitely in his top 3 best games ever. His career high passer rating He was just shy of that record. So this guy's got it going on all cylinders. He can definitely lead them to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's been impressive. Lamar Jackson's kind of having a resurgence. I think having that contract off of the weight lifted off of him, having a guy like Zay Flowers has clearly changed that offense. They've never gotten an elite wide receiver in there for him, and that guy clearly has got some juice to him. And then even having a veteran like Odell, that's different than a guy like Nelson Aguilar potentially being your best wide receiver. Having those two elevate that wide receiver room, and then Mark Andrews is a great tight end. So I'm just elevating that entire pass catching group. He's third overall in passer rating. So he's clearly passing the ball better than he has. Todd Monken's new offense looks pretty good, and he's patient. He's dumping the ball off. He's making smart decisions. If this team's firing like this, they're going to be hard to beat. And right now, the Steelers, they just have Lamar's number, so I'm not worried about that odd loss. That's not a big one for me. And then they couldn't catch the ball. They had like 8 drops, which is uncharacteristic of most people. A couple of those were touchdowns. I'm not worried about this team. I would be scared to death to play them if Lamar's clicking like this. I don't know about the Chiefs or the Bengals or anyone, but this team is scary when they're clicking. And Lamar looks great. He might be the MVP front runner right now in everyone's mind. So they definitely can get to a Super Bowl. This team looks legit, and that's scary with an elite dual threat quarterback.
How about Todd Monken, 2016, hired by Tampa to be the offensive coordinator. He was offensive coordinator there under Bruce Arians. Went to the Browns as offensive coordinator under Freddie Kitchens in 2019. 2020, hired by Georgia. Kirby Smart brings him in to lead Georgia. They went and won the national championship. He was the offensive coordinator under Kirby Smart, then comes to the Ravens in 2023 after Greg Roman leaves. And Todd Monken, man, he's really showing something here. He's got Lamar believing, and he's got the offense clicking and throwing the ball.
Yep. They look awesome. Like I said, scary team to play because, it looks like they can run the ball in the cold weather. And if Lamar's passing like this with some good weapons around him, that's a scary team.
One of the best for sure. They're favored by 8.5 over the Cardinals at 4:00 on Sunday. We'll see if they can keep it going. I think they do. I think it keeps rolling. Let's stay in the AFC. Let's go to those Patriots. We talked about the game coming up at Miami, where Miami's a big favorite there. What do you think about Mac Jones, Team Money? Do you trust Mac Jones to lead the team for the rest of the season?
Oh, man, Mac Jones just saved his NFL career with that game. It was probably the best game he's ever played, which is sad. Don't turn the ball over.
Way to go, Mac. Way to go, baby.
You know what I mean? Don't turn the ball over. It's pretty simple, how this team can be good. They got a good enough coach and defense. He threw for 272 and 2 touchdowns. I don't think he threw the ball over 20 yards in the air, which is exactly what you want for that guy. And I feel bad for Patriots fans. I would have loved to see them go after a guy like Caleb Williams, in that defensive scheme with Bill Belichick, that elite quarterback, but they're probably going to squeak out a few wins. They have a relatively easy schedule after this week: Commanders, Colts, Giants, Chargers, so they might clip off a few wins. I just feel bad for Patriots fans. They could have had Caleb Williams, and now they're going to be stuck with Mac Jones for another year or two till everyone realizes he's a backup.
And I said last week, Bill Belichick and Mac Jones, but mainly Bill Belichick, had to get this team back on track. It's down to Bill Belichick. And not only did Mac Jones get a big win, Bill Belichick gets that big home upset over the Bills, man. They get the last second touchdown throw from Mac Jones. And Belichick does it, man. Just when you think he's done, he pulls a big upset.
Yeah, big
Could
upset.
He possibly beat Miami? Could he go down to Miami and beat that team? That would be amazing if he does.
Hey, they only lost by a touchdown last time, so they held them to 24 points. So they definitely got some sauce there. As long as Mac Jones doesn't turn the ball over, then they might be a decent team, but they just have no weapons really, and I think that's hurting Mac Jones as well.
Yeah, the line jumped up initially when it was announced. The line for this game, the Patriots and the Dolphins, was up to 12.5, and now settled back. Right now it's 9, and the Dolphins have covered in 6 straight against New England. So the Dolphins, you think they can beat that 9 spread, but like you said, it was 24-17 in week 2. Belichick seems to know how to stop Tua. We'll see what happens. This is going to be really interesting here.
Yeah, going to be an interesting game. A lot of outcomes.
Hey, let's move on to big bets. Speaking about some of these games and the lines, let's go on to big bets. Hey, do us all a favor, y'all. Press that like and subscribe for us. We appreciate your support. We're going to give you some picks here. Of course, this is for entertainment purposes only, you all. Unless you're in a legal state like Ohio, and you can go to DraftKings and you can see what you can do. But hey, man, we're going to give you some picks, our lock pick of the week, our dog lock of the week. And Father Son Sports is killing it, man. 70% for the year. Father Son Sports against the spread. How are these guys on? How's the Bear getting picked to make these picks out on Fox?
Yeah.
And who's the guy on College Game Day? It's a new guy, Steve. From Stanford Steve. That guy's got a negative win percentage. Come on, man. What about Father Son Sports? Let's first go to we're going to do our lock pick of the week, our dog lock, do some player props for y'all. Team money. Who you got for your lock pick of the week?
Lock pick of the week. I'm taking the Rams -6.5 versus the Cowboys. I know it's at Dallas. I just think these guys are, probably pissed off after this Pittsburgh loss. They have a pretty good offense. I think they're going to surprise everyone. This looks like a little bit of a trap game for Dallas for me. I just feel like they think they're hot stuff after that Los Angeles win. I mean, to put up only 20 points versus the Chargers, Mike McDaniel seems to always want to give away games. And Sean McVay is an elite coach in this league. And I think this game is going to come down to coaching more than it is these players. Something tells me McDaniels is going to make a gaffe. McVay is going to make the smarter coaching decision and manage the clock and team better. And I'm telling you, Los Angeles is going to cover this at least, and wouldn't be shocked if they win it.
Okay. That sounds good, T-Money. I'm going to go to Three Rivers Stadium in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, where the Jags come into the town as a favorite over the Steelers. I know Mike Tomlin is strong in an underdog role. I know that. But somebody knows something here, T-Money, and I'm not going to fight it. How Jacksonville's in this favorite role like this, going into Pittsburgh. And you know what? They do have the trends going with them. Jacksonville's 8-0 straight up and against the spread. And its last games outside of Jacksonville. They're great on the road. They've gone 6-1 against the spread in their last 7 games in Pittsburgh, though. So they've won there, too. And they played last Thursday, which means that they have a rest advantage over Pittsburgh. And when Pittsburgh's in a disadvantage in terms of rest versus their opponent, they're 4-6 against the spread. I'm going to go with the Jags here to get the victory in Pittsburgh and cover this 2.5 points.
All right, G-Man. I like it. Sneaky. My dog lock pick of the week here, Bengals +5.5 versus the Niners. All right. The Niners are looking human here. They were looking like a juggernaut at the beginning of the year. They've lost 2 in a row. Their offense has only scored 17 points 2 weeks in a row. Brock Purdy turned into Jimmy Garoppolo and started throwing the ball to the other team a lot. And the Bengals are coming off a bye. They're finally getting their footing. They just beat the Seattle Seahawks, and they are going to be on a bit of a hot streak here after beating Arizona and Seattle. I like the Bengals to win this thing outright after the Niners having to come off a short week with a Monday night game, and the Bengals getting a full week's rest.
Yeah. Interesting. That's 4:00 Sunday. Looks good, T-Money. What's going on with that San Fran defense? They're like falling apart in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
And Joe Burrow's going to expose them if they don't fix that real quick.
Yeah.
4 o'clock Sunday. Let's go to Team Money. I'm going to go against you here, man. I didn't want to go against you, but I really don't have a backup pick that I love. So I'm going back to your AT&T Stadium where the Rams come into town to take on Dallas. I'm going to go with that dog there, Team Money. Hate to go against you, and we're going to see. You'll probably beat me on this one, man. Hey, but we predicted Pittsburgh upset of the Rams last week. But this week, the trend favors the Rams. The Rams are 23-13-4 against the spread after a loss under McVay. You're right, McVay, after a loss, he's going to focus in here. And this season, the Rams have gone 2-0-1 against the spread after a loss. Give me the Rams plus those points. I would buy that up to 7. Buy that 6.5 points up to 7 and get that in there with 7 points for the dog lock pick of the week.
Hey, I like it, G. They were almost my dog lock. I just went for the regular lock, but hey, I like them a lot. I agree with you with the Rams there. So I'm with you. I think they can win that thing. Let's move on to everyone's favorite betting portion of the show, and that's G-Man's player prop of the week. What do you got, G-Man?
Hey, I've been looking around to try to get exact numbers. It's Wednesday here. I can't get exact numbers, so just going to give you 3 here that I like. And, man, we went 2 for 2 last week again. A.J. Brown and Ken Walker came through with our props. That's 4 for 4 over the last 2 weeks on our props. I'm going to give you 3 to look at this week. You'll have to see what comes out when the numbers get released. But I'm looking at Jahmyr Gibbs to have a big Monday Night Football showing. The Lions favored by 8 over the Raiders, and Jahmyr Gibbs is going to play a big role here. I like his receptions. I'm saying over 3.5 receptions. Take it as a prop. The other thing I like with Jahmyr Gibbs, anytime touchdown. Now, this is if Montgomery is out. Montgomery, I'm expecting right now to be out. Jahmyr Gibbs should be a great play. The other game we're looking at, Team Money, is Miami versus New England. This Miami game, I know that New England had Tua kind of shut down last time, but I think he does go over 1.5 touchdowns. I think he's going to be 2 touchdowns or more in this game. He only had 1 last time, but I think he goes over 1.5. I think the prop will be 1.5. The other one I like is Tyreek. Anytime touchdown. Tyreek was shut down the first time these two teams played, but Christian Gonzalez was the one who did it. Christian Gonzalez is out for New England. Tyreek could have a field day back there. I think he gets the touchdown.
All right. I like it, G-Man. I like it.
All right. Let's do it, man. Hey, let's go on to fantasy. All you fantasy managers, how you doing? Are you winning your league? You in the middle of the pack? You probably need some lineup help. There's no buys this week. Let's go on to our fantasy segment. While you got your full teams loaded up this week with no buys in week 8, there'll be more buys coming in the future, but enjoy it this week. You should be fully loaded unless you got some injuries. We got 3 games for you to play here on our fantasy section, hot and cold, take or mistake, and our DFS daily fantasy lineup. Let's start with hot and cold. G-Man's going to give you my hot pick of the week here at quarterback. Team Money, I'm going with Dak Prescott at home against the Rams this week. I know I told you I like the Rams, but Dak Prescott should get some points here. I like the value of Dak. He's only $6,100 on DraftKings. I could not pass this up. He threw for 272 and a touchdown. Last game, he ran for a touchdown against the Chargers. Dallas has got a bye here to think about things and prepare for this game. I think they're going to do well. And I like the value at 6,100. Dak Prescott, my upside quarterback, hot pick of the week.
All right. Dak's kind of been up and down. We'll see if he can do it again. He had a great Chargers game. So my cold QB of the week here is Tua. Tua playing at New England, projected for 18.9 points. He's currently the QB5, so he's been playing well. But New England's the 9th best versus quarterbacks this year, and they held Tua early this year to only 12 points. So other than this past week when New England played Josh Allen, no QB has been over 15.3. So they hold QBs to a low amount of points, and Tua's already been proven out to be held versus low points versus New England team. So he's my cold QB of the week, Tua Tagovailoa.
Okay, let's go to running back. Team Money. I'm going my hot pick of the week here. Jahmyr Gibbs. I already told you about him. Plays Monday night versus the Raiders. Carried the ball 11 times for 68 yards and a touchdown last week. Also caught 9 of 10 for 58 in the air. 126 total offensive yards. Keep an eye out as we approach the weekend. If David Montgomery remains out, jump on Gibbs. He's only $6,600 on DraftKings. Jahmyr Gibbs, my upside running back hot pick of the week.
Okay, I like it. If he looked great without Montgomery. My cold running back of the week, Josh Jacobs for the Las Vegas Raiders running back. He's projected for 16.1 versus Detroit. They're the third best defense in fantasy versus running backs right now. He's only averaging 13.5 for the year and hasn't had a game over 11.4 the past 2 weeks. Look, you might want to begrudgingly start this guy because of the draft value and, just by namesake, but he's heading in the wrong direction right now. And if you have the option to not use him this week, flex someone in like Garrett Wilson or Ramondre Stevenson, I would lean towards those guys over Josh Jacobs right now. He just needs to prove it to me that he can be consistent. The volume's there, but right now he has not been proving out as a fantasy option the past few weeks.
Okay, good pick. And at wide receiver this week, T-Money for the hot pick. I'm going Jordan Addison. Must win NFC North battle against the Packers to claim bragging rights in that North and for Minnesota, believe it or not, to stay in contention. Addison, went off on Monday night versus the 49ers. The rookie from USC got his first 100-yard effort as a pro. And the DraftKings number, I could not believe when I looked at it, at $5,700. This is low with Jordan Jefferson being out again. So it's a great buy. He now has 6 touchdowns through 7 games. He could do it again. Jordan Addison, upside wide receiver, hot pick of the week.
Okay. Big game from him. So not surprised he's your hot pick. My cold wide receiver of the week, DK Metcalf. All right. He's a big name, but he's only projected 13.1 versus the Browns. I would be sitting this guy. The Browns are the number 1 defense versus receivers in fantasy. He's coming off a game where he was injured and missed the last game. So he's not going to be 100%. He's only had 1 game over 13.6, and that was in week 3. That was a while ago. So he just hasn't been performing. JSN has finally arrived. He had a good game this past week, so there's a lot of mouths to feed in that offense. DK Metcalf headed in the wrong direction right now. I'd be looking for other options or to trade him if I had him.
Oh, man, don't get DK, man. That guy, man, he gets up and down like I've never seen.
Yeah.
But okay, good pick, T-Money. Let's go to our second game, our take or mistake game. This is a surprise to T-Money. I pick a player that had a big week. T-Money tells me whether we should take the bait this week or would that be a mistake. T-Money going to talk to you about Deonta Foreman of the Bears versus the Chargers this week. Deonta Foreman rushes for 89 yards on 16 carries, 2 touchdowns, and the Bears scored 30 points over the Raiders. He also caught the ball, T-Money, 3 of 5 for 31 yards and a touchdown through the air. T-Money is Foreman a take as a fantasy start in week 8, whether Rashawn Johnson is cleared to play or not, or would that be a mistake?
I think he's a great flex option. I would be a little nervous because I think Rashawn Johnston's going to eat into those touches. He only had 16 carries, and Vegas is a very bad run defense. The Chargers are not horrible, but they're not great. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy rips off another 15-point game. But if you have more reliable options out there, I would rather have Kareem Hunt, Javonte Williams, that kind of class of guy over Foreman. But wouldn't be surprised he puts up another 20-point game here just because he's done it, and he did it last year. He did the same thing over with Carolina last year, if you remember the run he went on. So wouldn't be surprised. I think he's a good option. And if you are looking desperate and you need a flyer, need some big-time points, he could boom or bust your team for sure.
Okay. Sounds pretty good there. Pretty positive there for Deonta Foreman.
Yeah, not bad.
All right. Well, let's go to our last game here, our daily fantasy, our DFS. I give you my DFS lineup. T-Money, I won another tournament. I won against 11 guys, or it's 11 of us, and it's my second win. I've only been out of the money one time, T Money, and that's when Justin Fields got hurt and I had him picked. So we're doing well here this year so far. Let's see if we can keep it going for our fans here who are counting on this DFS lineup. I'm going to start off at the quarterback. I mentioned him already. Dak Prescott at my quarterback. I've got at the running back Gibbs and Kamara. I've mentioned Gibbs already. Kamara was only $7,300, and he could be a top 5 running backs for $7,300. That's a great value. Wide receiver. I like this Miami offense. I got Waddle in there as one of the receivers, along with Jordan Addison, as I talked about. Josh Downs was only $4,800 on DraftKings. Can you believe that? $4,800 for a guy that was a top receiver last week, top 5. And I'm going to flex Rashee Rice for Kansas City. He's doing well, and he's only $5,000. So got him in there at the flex. At the tight end, we're going to stack Jake Ferguson with Dak. Jake's only $3,600. On the defense, I like the Jets in Seattle, but I'll go with a better value. I'll take Seattle versus Cleveland for only $3,400.
All right. G-Man's hot. Follow him.
Hey, let's see what you can do. All right. Hey, let's wrap this up, Team Money. Hey, shout out to our sponsor, Blue Tees Golf. Go to blueteesgolf.com. We had a lot of fun. Hope we got you ready for NFL Week 8. Father Son loves to bring you the energy. On behalf of Team Money, I'm G-Man. See you next week.
Peace.